Hey, it's Larry Sharpe here on the Sharpe Way Show. Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Monday, Ask Me Anything. As always, so happy you're able to join me for a few moments this glorious evening. As I always ask you guys, please hit those like, comment, and share buttons. It does matter. You know it does. So please do that so you can stick with me and we can get those algorithms moving so more people can watch what we're doing. There is something that I know many of you are feeling. And it's the idea that we're like always afraid of something, right? There's always something for us to be afraid of. It's the war on terror, the war on drugs, the war on this, the war on that, war on COVID. There's the war on something. It's the evil Republicans, the evil Democrats, the evil progressives, the evil conservatives. It's always something that we're afraid of constantly. And then we make rules and regulations for that. And then we have more stuff that shuts us down. And that thing we're afraid of never turns out to be what we thought it was going to be. In fact, if it happened once, it doesn't really happen again. And if it does happen, it's so different, we're not ready for it. So many problems that we're dealing with. So I think the mainstream is actually starting to get this. And they're starting to actually get it. And why do I say this? I watched Fareed Zakaria last weekend. Yesterday, I should say. Last week was yesterday. Yesterday, and his piece was a bit moving. And not that it was emotional, not that. But he actually was talking about the problems. He was actually doing what he often does. Walking down the libertarian road, which he does often. If you've watched him, he will walk down the libertarian road and express the problems and issues with government, but either do one of two things at the end. Either hard left, so of course, more government, or nothing. And when he says nothing, it means it's really libertarian, because he'll never say libertarian, ever. He will never say that ever. Not going to happen. Never. So let me, if I can, let you see a little bit of that. And it's short, it's not long, but you'll see. I want you to remember, this is a CNN mainstream anchor, right? So just keep that in mind who's speaking. This isn't me or someone in the Liberty world speaking. This is a mainstream CNN answer.
But first, here's my take. This pandemic has brought out the crazy in all of us. We've all been selective about the science we take seriously and the stuff we disregard. We've often been more moved by vivid anecdotes than by scholarly studies. But I really start to worry when even the experts seem irrational.
Did you hear what he just said? This is Fareed Zakaria, a CNN mainstream anchor, who said, even the experts seem irrational. Yeah, many of us were saying that a long time ago, right? Many of us were, but now even he's saying it. Wow.
Consider the decision from the CDC and the FDA to recommend pausing distribution of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine after 6 cases of severe blood clots were reported in the US.
Now, to be forward, you know I'm not pro-vaccine mandate, not what I want. If you want a vaccine, please get one. But if you believe in the vaccines and you think they're the right answer, you get the right answer for you, why in the world would you think that you should stop the J&J because 6 out of 7 million have a blood clot that's not fatal? Look, if you don't want vaccines, this doesn't matter to you. But if you want vaccines, why would this matter to you?
A small number of additional cases have been reported since. The pause is now over and the vaccine back in use, but the damage is done, fueling fears about vaccine safety. And
it fueled more fear. And there's a part of me that says, is this being done on purpose? Are we fueling more fear?
Confirming conspiracy theories. Let's do the math. Some 7 million Americans have already safely received the vaccine. That is 0.0002% of a chance of a blood clot. Meanwhile, 1.5% of COVID-19 patients still die from the virus.
Now, I want to be clear on that. This is a number that he hasn't really mentioned before. If you watch CNN will rarely say the actual death rate of COVID. What they will say is the infection rate. So people get infected, but even according to his data, only 1.5% actually die. And if you believe in that a vaccine is your way of going through things, it's 0.0002%. Why would it matter either way? Either you don't want a vaccine, in which case you don't care, or you do want a vaccine. Why would you care? Yet this was big news, and they stopped it. It makes no sense whatsoever.
In other words, even if all the blood clots prove fatal, and most have not been, the virus would still be thousands of times more dangerous than the vaccine. The agency's decision came after similar rare reports of blood clotting led European nations to temporarily suspend the AstraZeneca vaccine in March.
So now what happens is now you validate anyone who thinks something's a conspiracy. You validate it, whatever it is.
That vaccine uses technology similar to Johnson & Johnson's, and again, its benefits far outweigh the potential dangers. We have wasted precious time at a moment when the crucial imperative is to get people vaccinated and fast. Many developing nations are counting on these two vaccines because they're cheap.
And that's the other piece, right? If you're a part of a nation like India or some of the other nations who are rushing to get vaccinated, there's why would you, when you have a situation where India is struggling right now to deal with the COVID virus because they don't have the facilities to take care of all the people who are getting ill. So now people are dying not actually of COVID, they're dying of all the secondary things in India right now. Well, what are we doing about that? We're stopping the J&J.
And easier to store. Now even some people in those places are scared to get them. There is a pattern to the problem. Politicians and governments are much too worried about the chance of something bad happening on their.
This is the issue. It is the fear of failure. And this is partially our fault as Americans, partially the media's fault as the money grubbers they are, partially the politicians' fault because we have a two-party duopoly, which doesn't reward success, but only punishes failure. So we have a system right now that only punishes failure. That's what it is. Oh, you screwed up, and cancel culture is not helping at all. Cancel culture is making this worse. Cancel culture makes this worse.
Watch, no matter how unlikely. For example, there's been a reluctance to send children back to school, even though numerous studies have found the risks to be quite low if precautions are taken. And what
this is the part I've been talking about for a long time, right? Some of you know what I mean by this. I've been talking about letting kids go back to school for months. If you want your kids back in school, put them back in school. Everybody knows. And when I say everybody, I literally mean everybody knows that schools are not super spreaders. They said they were. Oh my God, can't put them in school. The world's going to end. The data is in and has been in for months. Schools are not super spreaders. It's not a thing. And still, we just started opening up schools in New York City like today. That's what we're starting. Why? Why in the world are we doing that? We should, without question, we should have opened up schools a long time ago. And I mean a long time ago. That's the part that drives me crazy. We are so afraid of making any mistake. We are so afraid of doing anything wrong. It is just, we're being punished like there's no tomorrow. It's really, really bad. The teachers unions have just taken advantage of this, and the politicians fall behind it because they know teachers unions. If one teacher gets sick, the teachers unions will punish them. It is not a good idea, not a good plan.
While the dangers are exaggerated, few people think about the massive benefits to society, to children, to parents, to the economy as a whole, if schools would reopen fast.
A benefit to the economy as a whole if schools would reopen fast. Yet we still didn't. And worse off, who did it punish most? Poor women. Working poor women. They were punished the most. Why? Because if you're working poor or poor, the odds are you can't afford to keep your kid in the place. You can't afford a nanny. You can't afford someone else to come in and watch your kid while you go off to work. You just can't afford it because you're poor or working poor, or even middle class. You're struggling. But not just that, the vast majority of caregivers still to this day, primary caregivers in America, are women, which means women are affected the most. Yet again, government trying to do the right thing in theory punishes poor women. You have heard me preach this for years. When government starts to put these rules and regulations in effect, when they begin their lockdown in any way, always the people who are punished the most, poor women, always.
Sometimes this obsession with risk turns into what the Atlantic's Derek Thompson calls hygiene theater.
Hygiene
it has been
theater.
apparent for a while that the virus overwhelmingly spreads by breathing, not by touching surfaces.
Now, this I love, right? Hygiene theater to me is a new one. I've known security theater forever. I've talked about that for a long time. But now it's hygiene theater. Let's do things that make you think like it's safe when it's not.
Yet businesses have made a great show of sanitizing everything, as if activities like indoor dining are somehow safe if only the tables are clean.
Useless.
Thompson is reminded of the security theater at airports after 9/11. An elaborate set of measures was put into place to make people feel safe, much of it useless.
I want to make sure you heard what he just said. This is the first time I've heard him actually say this out loud. Finally, it's been 20 years. He said everything put together to make us feel safe. And then he said, much of it useless. Yes, the TSA, even he says it. And he is, again, this is not me saying this. This is a mainstream CNN anchor. And he basically just said what I've been saying for over a decade. The TSA is a colossal waste of time and money and should go away tomorrow. So should hygiene theater and security theater. Finally, it's not just people like me and many of you also who've been saying this. Mainstream's finally going, I'm tired of this. Enough already. Bill Maher's been on this. Bill Maher has been turning. Fareed's turning. We're turning.
More importantly, the obsession with the dangers of terrorism, which even after 9/11 were actually quite low, led us to build a massive new Homeland Security industrial complex.
Homeland Security Industrial Complex. I don't know who wrote this for him, but you're hired.
Launch major military interventions across the globe and curtail civil liberties at home just to try to reduce the incidence of terrorism to as close to zero as possible.
Did you hear? He literally said curtailing civil liberties. This is Fareed Zakaria, guys.
For example, we denied hundreds of thousands of people visas into the U.S. just because we wanted to be sure that
pro-immigration too.
Someone who turned out to be a terrorist.
Who made this guy libertarian?
Always to take every precaution and spend as much money as necessary to ensure that something bad doesn't happen.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. This is what I talked about last year when Judge Jim Gray was running for the Libertarian nomination. What did he say? He said government right now is in a position, the way we put them there, that they have to do every single thing possible, spend all our money, do everything they can without question, all of it. Now, why? Because if you still get sick or get hurt or something goes wrong, well, I did everything I could. And if you don't get hurt, see, I saved you. They always err on the side of this because they win no matter what. That's our current system.
That's the kind of event that makes you lose your job or get you pilloried by the press or hauled in front of a congressional committee.
Or canceled. Yes, add or canceled. Yes.
If you make lots of good things happen, by contrast, you'll be lucky if you get a pat on the back.
Correct.
During the early stages of the pandemic, the U.S. government kept worrying far too much about all the problems that could emerge from rapid mass testing and neglected to consider the huge benefits of it because it...
Look at all the closings. He's showing the damage that's been done. Wow.
...would return people to normal life. Harvard epidemiologist Michael Mina argued that we should have authorized all kinds of tests, in-home pregnancy-style ones, for example. That
in-home pregnancy-style tests. What libertarian last year, about a year ago, was actually talking about allowing everyone to literally 3D print their own tests if they want to create any tests they want, just to get people talking about testing and trying testing. Who was, oh, right, me. Yeah, that was me a year ago that I put in a video saying, why aren't we just letting people create tests? Then we'll figure out which ones work and which ones don't. We'll get our population voluntarily to want to test, to get used to testing. Yeah, so the government doesn't have to step in. I mentioned that. Remember, we could make them in nonprofits. You can go to your local VFW. You can go to your local Knights of Columbus. You can go to your local American Legion and get a COVID test if you want to.
Would have offered constant information on who was safe and unsafe.
Yep.
Getting tests to be 100% accurate was far less important than catching most cases before they spread.
Yep.
The truth is, we live with risks all the time. 40,000 Americans die every year in car accidents. Would we agree to make the speed limit, say, 25 miles per hour if it would save half of those deaths?
Well, my mayor, Bill de Blasio, yes, does agree. That he did that literally. He lowered the speed limit in New York City to 20 miles an hour because of that. Because he's a true believer in socialism and does believe exactly what you said. My mayor does believe that eventually, if we just squeeze hard enough, if we just take enough and squeeze enough, we will one day get that socialist utopia that he's been talking about for decades. He does believe that. Clearly, my mayor is incompetent and wrong. I'm just telling you that's what he believes. So I love that Freed's going, we can't do that. We're going to get rid of cars now. Sounds like I'm listening to, I don't know, Soho Forum or something. What's going on?
Even now, hundreds of Americans are dying from COVID every day compared to the handful who got blood clots. We need to think more closely, carefully, and rationally about risk, and to remember to balance it with that other half of the equation, reward.
What? Reward? Meaning like, I don't know, a market-based solution or something like that might make things better? Oh, yes. I wanted to share this with you because I really thought this was an interesting piece that I saw. It gives me some hope, right? Now, look, he didn't answer, and that's the point. When he only has two speeds at the end of every one of his openings. Either it's, so let's give more money to government. It's underfunded. That's option one. And option two is, stuff is just bad. Like this one. No answer. No answer means the only answer is a libertarian answer that he could think of, but he would never dare say that. That's what it actually means. So I hope that was interesting. Let me grab a couple questions and comments if I could. Craig says, you forgot the evil libertarians. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, they're also coming out to get you. Exactly, Craig. We're all just bad. Yes. Sir Alfred, Larry, why are some people leaving New York? Man, if you have to ask that question, I mean, come on. Lockdowns, high taxes, tyrannical government, gun rights, school. You know what? Thank you, Alfred. I know what my show this week is going to. I'm going to do a show this week on how bad the school systems are and how many people are leaving New York because of how bad the school systems are, the indoctrination that New York City schools are doing. Thank you for that. Now, maybe I'll do it tomorrow on my radio show. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate your input. There are so many reasons I could spend an entire show just talking about why people are leaving. New York State's in trouble, which is why I'm hoping to try to save it. John says, just got done listening to Dave Smith interview with Joe Rogan. Sounds like he may run in 2024. How would a well-known comedian fare in your opinion? Name recognition would be strong for his skills unknown. You think Dave's running for president in 2024 or for the chair of the party in 2024? I think if he runs for chair of the party, I think he has a very high chance of victory. The caucus that he's repping is the Mises caucus. Those you don't know, they're very effective at fundraising, very effective at organizing. If he's running for chair, I think he'll easily win. I don't think he'll win the presidential nomination. I don't think that'll happen. My gut is because I don't think that. I mean, he has time. He's got 3 years to prep himself. There's a lot of preparation into making a presidential run, and if he's not prepared, he'll embarrass himself if he isn't prepared, as most of our nominees do. So he has 3 years to prepare himself. I think right now, I don't think he's ready, but 3 years from now, he might be. He's clearly working to be better. I think if he's able to prepare himself better in the next 3 years, I think he could. if he stays the way he's been, being much more of a comedian, a personality, I don't think he will. There are too many. I've been in this candidate game now for about 5 years, and I put a lot of my life in this candidate game, and it's not an easy game, and people think it is. And if you're going to run locally, it doesn't matter if you're wrong. If you're a bad local candidate, nobody cares. No one sees it. Locally, someone sees it, whatever. No one remembers. If you're a bad national candidate, ask our last couple candidates how they feel about that. It lasts. It sticks with them forever. This is a difficult game to play. So if he keeps and he understands that keeps going, I think he's got a shot at winning a nomination. But if he doesn't, I think at the chair, I think he'd easily win the chair if that's what he's looking for. So I'm not sure what you meant. If you meant running for chair of the party, I think it'll be a walk if he wants to. I think particularly because of his infrastructure. But if he goes for the presidential nod, by 2024, you know how many people are going to be trying to run for that presidential slot? It's not going to, I mean, by 2024, you're going to have libertarians who want it. You're going to have Democrats who want it, Republicans who want it, outsiders who want it, because it's the only third party chance they're going to have to fight against Biden and whatever Republican. The Republican Party is broken right now. If it fixes itself prior to that, Republicans will have a good shot. If not, what if Kamala Harris runs? Oh my God, there's going to be a feeding frenzy against her. So I don't think the nomination for president is a walk for him at all. He's going to have to earn that. Could he? Yes. I think if he runs for the chair, easy day. He could probably take it in 2022, to tell you the truth. He could probably do it next year if he wanted to. But he could definitely do it in 2024, no doubt. I don't know. His fundraising skills that I don't know how good they are, to be forward with you. I don't know. So we'll have to raise a whole lot of money, I guess. We'll see. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. And I'm sorry. If you're saying president, how well will he do in the actual race? It depends on what strategy he uses. If he plays the same game strategy, he's going to fail like all the rest of them do. If he does a smart strategy, he has a chance of winning. And him and I have never discussed his strategy, so I can't tell you. That's all. Paula says, do you see what Bill Maher said about young people who want to try communism? Paula, yes, but I can't show that because YouTube will take my video down whenever I show Bill Maher because HBO's stupid and says, how dare you promote our shows for free? We're so stupid and so backward that we will hide our IP to the point that will hurt us. That's how backward HBO is. HBO should be happy if I'm using their stuff, but I can't because if I do, it shuts it down. But yes, for those who don't know, Bill Maher was hammering the youth about the love of communism and socialism. Same thing. And this is Bill Maher. He's coming back to us slowly. He's got more room to come. He's not there yet, but he's been walking away from us and towards the left for years. Finally, he's like, I think I went too far. And he's turned around and he's starting to walk back. But he's not there yet, Paula. He's like, we see him in the distance coming over the hill, starting to come back to us. And he's not sure, does he want to come back or not? That's where Bill Maher is right now. But he's on his way. Come on in. Happy. So all the shows before Freed just told me what was on Fox. Yes, that's the issue, right? The cable news is struggling. It is struggling. And one of the channels who's doing it well, believe it or not, is the same channel who started to kill cable news, in the 90s. The first cable news company, obviously, that really was doing anything was obviously CNN. And the first Gulf War made them. They became the place. They were the news. When Fox got in the world, Fox really changed the game completely. And Fox is actually doing the best right now, not by ratings, but Fox is moving people off to their Fox Nation. They're now taking the people who are cool on Fox and putting them also on Fox Nation in separate content. So that now, even if their ratings begin to go down on the cable, they can still get their whatever, I don't know how much it costs for Fox. I'm not a Fox Nation subscriber, whatever it is, $9 a month or whatever, $8 a month, whatever it is. You get your so-and-so bucks a month. They're doing that now. And they're grabbing all their celebrities. Tucker Carlson's super popular on Fox. Now he's got his own show, right? The guests like Dan Bongino, he's a guest on there. He's got his own show. So they're doing that. Fox is doing a very good job. CNN isn't. CNN isn't creating a good online presence like that. They just aren't doing it. And they should be, but they're not. So yeah, CNN's still struggling. But they're also CNN's trying to find itself after Trump. They spent 4 years being the we hate Trump, station. And it was working. Everybody who hated Trump would watch CNN. It was perfect, right? It was exactly right. Well, Trump's gone now. Now what's CNN? I don't know. The let's impeach Trump again station, I guess. Let's play more on Trump station. I don't know. When you base yourself on everything's I hate Trump, you struggle once Trump's gone. Now what are you going to do? It's tough. So Brian says, I was just going to say something about this. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm not the only one noticing it. I'm glad you noticed it too, Brian. I appreciate that. Yes. Jonathan, do you think the Great Reset is real? Have you heard of ESG? Of course I heard of ESG. ESG is literally something that bankers are looking to be a part of, to invest in. Portfolio is the appropriate, portfolio. Sure, absolutely. Do I think the Great Reset is real? Not intentionally. I think, as I will often say, it is rare that I believe that any people of stature or power are literally making the bad things happen. I think they have plans for when bad things do happen, and then, the bad thing happened. Now let's put our plan into place. And that's why I tend to not believe the conspiracy theory that says, there's certain people in the world manipulating everything. I tend to not buy that. But I do buy powerful people are waiting for a crisis. And when it hits, now I put my plan into play. And I think something like that is probably happening because I can't see individuals. I can't see individuals actually being able to make this work without massive problems. So that's why I think they have a plan. Oh, here's a problem. Let's use that. Similar to the people who wanted to invade Iraq for years. 9/11. Now let's invade Iraq because now the thing happened. I hope that's clear. So Paula says irrational experts like Fauci. I think specifically Fauci. Yes. John Barrett says nobody makes any sense anymore. People are stupid. I think the reverse, John. I think people aren't stupid. I think people are overwhelmed. I think there's so much media, so much information, so much overload that people don't know what's real and what's not. So they tend to just trust someone or some entity and go, well, I guess they're correct because I'm so scared. I'm so concerned. I don't know who to believe or what to believe. There's so much out there. And then on top of that, there's an epidemic in America, if I can use the phrase that everyone else is using, an epidemic for everything. But here's my epidemic: loneliness. There's an epidemic of people who are alone, who feel like nobody hears them. And then here comes some group of people who says, did I tell you that there are, I don't know, aliens that are sucking our brains or whatever? And you go, really? Yeah, let's talk about it. Oh, you're my friend now. And all my friends talk about brain-sucking aliens. So I guess I believe in brain-sucking aliens now because that's what my friends are. And I think that even affects us too. So we create things that make us special. We create our cliques. Most of them are online. We're lonely and we're overwhelmed. You get this. You get this. And then you add on top of that, at the elite level, you've got what he's talking about, what Free's talking about, which is you can't make a mistake. If you remember what I talked about, people talk about what's cancel culture. Well, cancel culture is about our rights or whatever. No, it isn't. That's just stuff people say. It's not true. Cancel culture is an extension of zero tolerance policies. That's what it is. It's a cultural extension of zero tolerance policies that first happened in government and then went to business and now have come to culture. That's what it actually is. And zero tolerance is don't you dare make a mistake. So perfection is now the demand. If you're perfect, it's good enough. If you're not perfect, you're hammered, you're fired, you're terrible. How do you grow that way? How do you become better? You don't. It's stupid. It's terrible. It always makes things worse. When I teach this stuff in college or teach this stuff in business, I would say, stop with your zero tolerance policies immediately. They always make things worse. There is no exception to that rule. And you hear me all the time say things like, it's a good general rule, not always. In this case, it's 100% rule. Every single time, zero tolerance policies make things worse. Every single time without exception. And cancel culture is the natural outcome of zero tolerance policies. And now we have that too. So you can't make any mistakes or you get canceled. Bad, bad, and bad. It's one of the reasons why I do so much of this stuff live and just make my mistakes live. And you're going to find a mistake, you're going to find tons of them. So you should already cancel me, John. I made mistakes tons of times, and I keep doing it. So I'm showing you I'm human already. I'm not pretending to be perfect, because here's another rule. If you demand perfection, you will get deception every single time, because people aren't perfect. So they're going to lie. I'd rather not lie to you. I'd rather just be imperfect. It's better. So Isaac says, do you believe the vaccine, whether it's Moderna, J&J, or other, is there any side effects that people should? I don't know, to be forward. My assumption is that the side effects aren't that bad, because there are so many people who are anti-vaccine that if the side effects were terrible, they would be everywhere. And what happened with J&J is my perfect example of that. If anything goes wrong, they want to jump out ahead of it before the anti-vax people will jump out and say, see, it's horrible. So I think there aren't any massive side effects, is my opinion. To be forward, Isaac, I have no data on this, so please take my opinion any way you want to. I'm telling you from what I see, the reactions that I see, I don't think there are that many bad side effects, because I think they'd be exploded everywhere. That's what I think. So, all right. David says, but if Trump was still president, the blood clots would be his fault, without question. And CNN will be called the Trump blood clots. How many numbers? And they'd be adding up numbers and stuff. Oh my God, yes. I'm sure they kind of wish he was president so they could blame it on him. The Trump clots. Ooh, see, I should work for CNN. I would have had that little graphic, Trump clot, 2021. Yes. So, and if anyone got any problem from the blood clot, it'd be like, blood clots are killing Americans and Trump's at fault. And people would watch that. So, see, there we go. James says, was something like 60% of those over 65. I think you mean vaccinated. I think that's true. So, yes. So, all right. If you Google blood clot in the general population, it's a hell of a lot higher than 1 in 1.25 million. That's correct, Tom. Yes, people do get blood clots. Absolutely. Georgia says, turn up Freed's volume. Sorry, YouTube is YouTube. I can't make it any higher. I apologize for that. Sometimes it's just low. So, yeah. Amy Dayton says, I like Fareed when he's talking numbers over politics, as I do with many other reporters. Exactly correct, right? And I know I try to prep this when you watch Fareed. Take the data and the info, ignore the spin, right? Just ignore the spin. Like once he begins to wrap it up, go, oh, yeah, here it comes. Here it comes. And know what's coming. But if it doesn't come, if there's no, and here's how we fix it with more big government. If he doesn't say that, now he's libertarian. He's being libertarian all of a sudden. So yes, absolutely. David says, yep, the old zero defect mentality. I like that. Yeah, okay. Zero defect mentality. Sure. Absolutely. All right. ShopRite from home today told me they cleaned my card. Did they clean my shopping cart? No. Huh. That's kind of weird, isn't it? It is weird. But why would it matter? It doesn't matter either way, right? You get it by breathing on somebody. Anyway, Ed says the reason why some people put into fear over a virus, they believe in the crazy cult by the name of Fauciism. People are mad at Fauci, and I understand. But there's a big but here with me. What do you expect from him? He's a bureaucrat. He's going to follow the bureaucrat ways. We shouldn't have listened to him that way. Once you start going, masks are stupid. Oh, I mean, masks are important. Oh, I mean, wear 2 masks. When he started doing that, we probably should have been like, you know what? Maybe we should just ignore this guy. But we didn't. We were like, oh, masks don't matter? Good. Oh, they do matter? Oh, okay. Oh, we got to wear two? Oh, my God, we got to wear two. And we didn't even question him. There's people. I live in New York City. You guys know that. If I go outside now, I can still find people with two masks on. I can still find them with two masks on. I was talking to a guy who runs my deli across the street. Yes, I have deli across the street. I live in Queens. That's what we have, delis across the street. So I go across the street and we're masking. And I said, why are people still wearing masks? Like, when is this going to stop? Like, at what point? Most people who want the vaccine already have it, right? So that's already happening now in New York City. I don't know about where you guys live, but where most people who want it already have it. Schools are opening up. When are we going to stop the mask thing? He's like, I don't know, maybe never. I was in the Astoria Park last week. Go up and talk to a guy. I got a mask on, and I'm probably, 3 or 4 feet away from him, give or take. And I say, excuse me, sir. He yells at me. Can you give me 6 feet? Yells at me. Can you give me 6 feet? And I thought, wow. By the way, he had a mask on too. So we both got a mask on outside in the park. Now, I don't like wearing masks outside. I usually don't unless I'm going to talk to people because people get upset like that. So whenever I'm going to talk to people, I also have my mask on because people are going to get upset. I didn't think that upset. I was probably 4 feet because I wanted to talk to the guy. So I went to ask him a question, probably 4 feet away, give or take. He's got a mask on. I got a mask on. He yells at me. I'm like, wow. Wow. In fact, you're yelling at me probably got more stuff in my face than you just not saying anything. You could have just put your hand up or something or just said, okay, how you doing? We're outside in the sun and we both got a mask on. I was physically probably 6 feet away from him. I just bent over to say something to him and he yelled at me. That's where we are. It is Ed, you're right. It's a crazy cult. It is. So I'm sorry. Which they force themselves onto others and take the vaccine at the same time. The vaccine fear happened because there were a reason that the vaccines aren't FDA approved since they were rushed through using the EUA. Is that true? They weren't approved by the FDA? I didn't even know it was true. Interesting. But of course it's going to be fear because we're trying to force it. Of course there's fear. Absolutely. Anthony says, Larry, big union schools. Yes, absolutely. Big union schools control our kids, control our government, when the school should have been open a year ago. I'm not even joking. I'm sorry. The elementary schools, there was some evidence that high school may be a problem, but there was absolutely clearly no evidence that the elementary school was a super spreader. The evidence was to exact reverse. I have a daughter in elementary school. And why was she home for a year? Stupid. No reason. No reason to be home. The data was crystal clear. Tom says, Larry, why do you think the party of science and facts don't look at science and facts? Why is school still closed in California? I think it's what Anthony said. It's big unions. UTF. Joe says the UTF has effed us. I think Joe and Anthony are correct, Tom. I think that's the real issue, right? The numbers, they're bad. Tom says Californian COVID numbers are down where Texas is, but why are they still closed to June? I don't get it. Yeah, it's terrible. We should be embarrassed by this, but what's happening is you're finding people leaving, right? Alfred said, why are people leaving New York? This is one of the reasons people are leaving. Because why are you locking down California, New York? There's a chance that the Republicans may take the House back in 2022. And people are saying, how can that be true? The country's left and they won this and won that. It's a crazy reason that some of you may not realize. Redistricting. Well, they're going to gerrymander. They always do, but that isn't the point. The point is the blue states are losing because the people are leaving. New York State is going to lose 2 congressional seats. Who's gaining them? Florida, Texas, Arizona, they're gaining. California will lose at least 1, maybe 2 also. What are they going to lose? Because people are packing up and leaving these terrible states. I know I live in one and I'm still here. I don't know why, but I am. I'm still here. So they're leaving. So, Thomas, people have stopped asking that question. They're just leaving. They're just packing their stuff and they're leaving. And I got to tell you, if you lose 2 congressional seats, that's 1.5 million people. Each seat is about 70,000 people, give or take. So New York State will lose, by the time they do this, about 2 million people. Gone. Isn't that horrible? California will lose at least 2 million also. They go from 40 million to like 38 million, something like that. They lose a bunch too. Absolutely. So Paleo Phil says Frieda is one of the best on the left. That's true, right? Because I do think that Fareed does argue in good faith, which not everybody does, right? Many of them are just about, I'm gonna own the right, and they just want to beat the right up, and that's it. And they argue from that, and they find excuses, and they make stuff up, and they do whatever they can to just attack the right. But I do think Fareed, as I said many times, he's wrong. But I think he actually believes what he's saying, and I think he is trying to do the right thing, and he will sometimes even give people on the right their due. He'll go, you know what? Yeah, he's right on this one. He'll do it. He actually did praise Trump a couple times. For those of you who watch him, he was not a Trump fan. But over the course of the Trump presidency, there were several times when he's like, yeah, that's not a bad deal. Right? He liked when Trump went to Korea, so did I. Right? There were many things he actually brought up, and we were like, yeah, that's not a bad thing. There's some good things he's doing. And for someone who doesn't like Trump, who he clearly did not like Trump, it's a big deal. Again, it's relative, obviously. But yeah. So, all righty. Bill Maher is one of the good ones. Recently, he's also been terrible too. He's been both. So yeah. James says, Fried always finds the problem, but he also always chooses the wrong solution or no solution. And in this last one, he chose no solution. And whenever he chooses no solution, that's libertarian. But you're right. He usually goes right back to, here's the problem. And what I like about it is when he expresses the problem, he's usually correct. Like, oh, that is the problem. Yes, that's the problem. Makes sense. I see where you're going with that. There is the issue. And then he goes, and so how we fix that? Lots more government, because what could go wrong? Ken says, a false sense of security is extremely dangerous. That's true. It's actually worse. That's a valid point, Ken. I like that. You're right. It is. A false sense of security is actually more dangerous than just not having security. Because at least if you don't have security, then you can be on the lookout for something, right? You can have your eyes and your ears open. You can prepare yourself. You can defend yourself because at least you're like, okay, I got no security. What do I do? You can act accordingly. But when you have a false sense of security, you don't have security and you're not ready for it. Valid point. I like that, Ken. You're right. The TSA is actually causing harm. Look at that. Causing harm. I like that. Yes. All right. No one voted for Fareed. He's always been sharper than most. Maybe he has, Phil. I'm with you. All right. I'm in. There we go. Jimmy says, AMA night. Question. Did you see that the Supreme Court is finally going to take a look at New York gun laws? I did not hear that. Do you happen to know when that's going to happen? Do they have that on the docket? They have that on the schedule already? Is that docket on the schedule already? I don't know if it is. Interesting. And do you know which one it is? Do you know which laws? I mean, there's so many terrible New York gun laws. They could look at like 50 of them, I'm sure. But yes, absolutely. So, all right. So, Tom says, you think maybe watching Biden on a Zoom call wearing a mask might have made some people maybe say enough? You saw that too, Tom? For those of you who didn't know that, don't know this, thank you for bringing this up, Tom. There was a big Zoom call with all of the world leaders. All the world leaders are in their offices taking a Zoom call. Biden's got a mask on. No one else does. Didn't somebody tell him, Mr. President, take the mask off? Nobody did. Were they that brainwashed to think, oh, this is going to be great. He's virtual signaling again. Is that what they thought? Or were they not thinking at all? Or is Biden such a tyrant they were afraid to tell him that he might bark at them or something? Or is everyone incompetent? I don't know. Why do you do that? Why do you sit in front of your computer? Easily you can make everybody 6 feet away if you want to, or make them wear a mask or whatever. And no other world leader is wearing a mask, yet you're sitting there with a mask on. He looked embarrassing. If you notice, you haven't seen that much of it. Many people didn't think about that. I'd forgotten until until you just posted it, Tom. I'd forgotten about it because they're not showing that picture much. It's embarrassing. It's terrible. Yes. So, yes. All right. Let's see if I can keep going on here. You got so many of these. I do appreciate all of the comments and questions. I'm trying to get to all of them if I can, but I also don't want to ignore some of the people. I don't want to give any of you too short of an answer, and I don't want to spend so much time that I'm unable to get to so many people. That's why. So yes. All righty. Let's see if I can do this here. Joe says, I'm hightailing it out of here for all those reasons. Plus my family's gone as well. Joe, I hate to see you go, but I'm not mad at you, brother. I get it. I understand. I hate to see everybody go, right? I don't want anybody to go, but I get it. I'm not mad at you for leaving New York. It makes sense. So yeah. Gene says, I got the J&J shot on Monday, May 30th. That's the one I wanted because it's the 1-dose vaccine. Nice. There we go. Good for you. Excellent. Dave Smith was nailing it on Jerry. Maybe I'll watch that one. I haven't seen that yet. Was that recent? I haven't seen it. I should check it out. AMA question. In New York, why is one forced to give up the receipt that I voted before I even cast my ballot? Forced to give up the receipt that I voted before I even cast my ballot. I'm not sure what that means. I didn't do that. Why isn't the receipt repatriated to the constituent before he should leave the facility like Walmart does? Are you saying why don't we have a receipt in New York that we voted? Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you're saying. I'm not really sure where you're going with this, Michael. Are you saying that we don't get a receipt and we should get one? Maybe that's what you're saying. I don't know where you're going with these questions. What difference would a receipt make? What am I missing? I feel like you're saying, and this happens all the time. People ask a question where they know exactly the context, they know exactly what it means, and I don't. So I have to guess the context. You have to give me context in this one, Michael. I don't know where you're going with it. So you got to give me some context so I can answer that question. I apologize. So, AJ says, I'll be entering my first official position on my church vestry, church board soon. Congratulations. In a few weeks, I'll be voted and sworn to office. About time I get into office. Whatever it takes, AJ. Whatever it takes. I love it. Yes, Pete. $28 trillion. National debt. Yes, absolutely. 100%. AJ says, my generation is stupid to believe in communism and socialism. I'm not going to go with stupid, AJ. This is I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt the same way I talked earlier about people being stupid. I think your generation has been lied to and fooled almost their entire life. And because of that, it's made them more open to this. The system has not worked well for them because the system is garbage. The system we have, they believe, is a real capitalist system. It isn't. But they believe that because they've been told that. So they think, well, this system sucks. So what system could work must be socialism. And because they feel like they've been cheated because of the way they've been raised and the environment they've been in, they feel like they've been cheated. If you feel like you've been cheated, well, people giving you stuff isn't socialism or a handout. It's what you deserve because they cheated. It's just giving back from, you took it away from me. And now some of you who are old like me are going to be upset and be mad. These damn millennials or whatever. I get it, but I don't share that feeling. I have more sympathy for them. I really do. I have much more sympathy for the youth. And the reason why I do is I've watched what's happened to them. And we haven't given them an answer. And you might say, well, Larry, they're all bad. And I hear it all the time. Well, guess what? We as a nation raised them. We raised them. And if they're not raised well, it's our fault as a nation. I mean, I don't know if any of you raised a bad millennial or not. You may have. I don't know you all, obviously, but you want to be. I know. Funny part is I do know many of you. But I don't know all of you. So perhaps you did raise a selfish millennial who loves socialism. You might have raised one, but as a culture, we did. It's clear. As a nation, we did raise a bunch of kids, and we told them things like, just go to school, pass your tests, there'll be a great job for you. That was all wrong and incorrect. Some of us knew it, some of us didn't. The system also has brainwashed us into believing that's true. The amount of parents that I talk to who get mad at me when I say high school shit. It's useless. It's worthless. It's no value. Literally, they're just marking time until they either go off to college, get a job, or go off to the military. That's it. It's a colossal waste of time. They're not going to use any of it. Nothing that, unless they're specializing in something. And some kids are. So I'm being a little hyperbolic when I say it. But you know my point. We think it's the be all end all. It's nothing like that. At least half of the kids who are going to college could start college at 16. At least half could just go and do it. College is terrible. It's garbage. It's total shit. Totally not worth the money. No one should be paying for the college education they're getting now. And so many have. And so you have all these millennials who are now $100,000 in debt, $200,000 in debt, $50,000 in debt, and their degree was worthless. It's garbage. They might as well wipe their derriere with it. That's how bad it is. It means nothing. So why wouldn't you think the system doesn't work? Why wouldn't you be open to anything else? We as libertarians have not done a good enough job showing them a better way. So right now they have two ways. The Republican way, which is America's great, capitalism's awesome, be quiet. They don't want to hear that. Or a Democratic way, who goes, we'll give you free stuff. That sounds way better. That sounds way better. People talk about, personal responsibility. How does that sound when you did it for 18, 22 years? You were that way. You passed all the tests. And the sad part, most people do not want to hear this. All those tests they took meant nothing. Tests are shit. They mean nothing in the real world. And I mean nothing in the real world. They are useless. They mean nothing in the real world. Nothing. They are absolute garbage. They'll never have value ever again. You'll never use them on your job or in your work or with your family or friends. They're useless. And all we talk about is testing. The entire system has been brought up as useless. It doesn't affect them at all. They don't need it. And they think, well, I got this great score on this test. And New York State's the worst. New York State has multiple regents exams, and you get this kind of regents diploma, this kind of regents diploma, all a bunch of horseshit, means nothing. The entire regents diploma program in New York State is a colossal joke and waste of time. It has never helped anybody to do anything ever. And that I'm not being hyperbolic about. That's real. Useless. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. So stupid. And they spend tons of time and money and energy and guidance counselors on this stuff. What a waste of time. I'm sure they have the same thing in other states too. It's all stupid and useless. And we're still doing it. Well, you've pushed them to do this for 18 or 22 years, however old they are now. It doesn't work. It's failed. They're in debt. They have roommates. And every time they start to grow to get anything, 2008, 2009 crash, made sure they couldn't grow. And when they started to grow, now we trash it again with the COVID shutdowns. And some of them got cool side hustles going on. They're doing Uber or doing this. And now we're shutting that down. The system is screwing them over. And their family and friends haven't been helpful. Where are they going to go? It's our job, AJ, to show them a better way. And we can. Got to keep going. That's the issue. So anyway, sorry. That's kind of a downer, huh? What's trying to make you down? Usually you guys bring me down. This time it was me. Sorry about that. I'm going to keep going. So, Paleo Phil says, come on, brother. Zakaria and Maya have always been better than average. I agree. It's why I still watch them, and I've been watching them for years. I think it's true. It's true. I've been watching them for years, and I still do. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Let's see if I keep doing this here. Let's see here. Pete says, Biden is vaccinated and still wears a mask. It's embarrassing. Isn't it, Pete? Isn't it? Yes. Absolutely. You're so right. We should just stop. Did Biden say today that he wants people to wear masks outside? Did he? I don't remember. He might have. I don't remember if he did, Brandon, but that's completely makes sense. Like if he did, I would buy it. That makes total sense. Because they just don't want to stop this crisis stuff. Let's stop building. How about that? Jericho said it. Yes. They never let a good crisis go to waste. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. So Michael says the New York governor bought all digital media in 2019 using taxpayer funds for his own personal use, book deal Emmy, with no intention of ever paying it back. Yes, he is completely corrupt. He actually had people on his staff write his book for him, didn't pay them. They were all volunteers. Yeah, he took everything. He used all of our taxpayer money and dollars to have his book written and get his Emmy. That's all correct. Yes, 100%. Yes. Joshua says, you didn't know about the brain-sucking aliens Epstein didn't kill himself. Oh, he got killed by brain-sucking aliens, perhaps. Could be. I love that. Yes. All right. Al Pacino turns 80 today. Hoo-ha. Quoting Al Pacino from Scent of Woman. Okay. Is he really 80? Is that true? Wow. Doesn't seem that old. But yeah, I guess maybe because I'm too old. There we go. Lee says Biden had his brain sucked out by aliens. Things make a lot more sense. See, that would answer some questions, Lee. That would answer some questions. Yep, there we go. Polo says lonely people, like scared people, can do really dumb things. Yes. It's why seniors can be so vulnerable no matter how smart they are. Oh my God, Paula. Yes, well done. Yes, I remember when I was in sales, and I still am in sales now, but I used to be direct sales. And I remember how often people, particularly elderly people who were lonely, would take a meeting with me, and they weren't going to buy my stuff. They just wanted me to talk to them. And I felt bad. Some of the reps would get mad. Oh, another one, just thinking I'm here to talk about blah, 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 blah. Right. And I'd be like, no, I'm here. Right. So look, I'm here already. I don't have anything else scheduled. I guess you're going to have some coffee then. And it wasn't, they would take a meeting, not because they wanted to buy my stuff, because they just wanted to have something to do that day. So they would talk to a sales rep, literally invite the sales rep to their home to talk. Now, if I was a bad guy, and one reason I don't do that job anymore, there are many reasons, that's one of them, is because I wasn't the guy who would still get them to buy stuff anyway. I wouldn't do that. They didn't need or want what I was selling. But there's a lot of people who wouldn't care whether that senior needs or wants what they're selling. They're desperate. They're lonely. I guess they're paying for me to come to their house and whatever, sell them something. It's a very valid point. Seniors can be very vulnerable, and it's because many of them are lonely or lacking purpose, right? When we as a society force people to retire, and I mean force kind of because through social pressure, and sometimes through the market, we force them to retire at 65. Some of them don't want to retire. Some of them would rather stay active, which is one of the reasons why, and I brought this up before, one of the reasons why I talked about, letting VFWs, American Legions, Knights of Columbus, Rotary clubs, those things, if appropriate in the local community, to be a center for people, kids drop off their kids, things like that, play places. There's a lot of people who are older who would love to have another purpose. Give them purpose. Now, some don't. Some are happy retiring, want to sit in the beach all day and drink pina coladas. If that's you, awesome. Good on you. But some people want to get back in action. They don't want to go lay on the beach. Some do. So I think we should allow people who want to get back in action to get back in action, because they can be so vulnerable. They can't be so lonely. And COVID has just made that worse. I mean, I know people in my life, a couple, as I mentioned before, who are in their 80s, and I know they're lonely. 406 days to flatten the curve. Actually, if you listened, it wasn't 15 days to flatten the curve. It was 515 days to flatten the curve, Pete. You weren't paying attention. He said just 515 days to flatten the curve. So we'll only have 109 days left, and then the curve is flat. See, he was perfect. You're not paying attention. Adrian says, my daughter, I'm in Long Island, has been in school, piano, singing, and theater classes all year. Nice. Nice. I love that. Keeping her busy, connected. I love it. Yes, I love that. All right. If someone is vaccinated, why are they concerned? I'm not. I think the issue in this one, Pete, is why are you wearing a mask if you're already vaccinated? I think that's the issue, right? If I'm vaccinated, why am I wearing a mask? Now, if I'm out and about and people are afraid, I get it. When I go out, I wear a mask. Well, that's not true. When I go out, I don't. But when I go and I meet people, I wear a mask because people are afraid, and I don't want to make people afraid, and I want them to feel comfortable talking to me. So I'll do it. When I meet people in other places, I'll ask them I'll literally say, are we doing mask on or off? That's what I actually say. And people either keep their mask on and go, and I said, that means on. We'll leave it on. You feel comfortable. It's fine. Or they go, I don't care about this garbage. They do that. I pull mine off too. So it really depends upon who I'm in front of. I'm trying to, I'm trying to be the libertarian of consent. If you're someone who's afraid and worried and you want a mask on, mask it is. If you're like, nah, I don't care either. Off it comes. So, and that's usually the way I deal with it. I let the people who I'm talking to, I let them decide. Some are concerned. And look, I don't know. What if this guy is not vaccinated and can't because he's got a pre-existing condition and he's scared because, he's got a compromised immune system. And if COVID gets him, he's going to die. I don't know that. So you know what? I let him choose. He can tell me what he wants. Or she can tell me what she wants. All good. So Joshua says, desperate people make the most desperate decisions, of course, which are normally not the right ones. Yes, also. The Fed and Congress dumping money into the market along with the housing bubble, stock bubble, stimmies, and endless unemployment bonuses. You've just named all of those bad decisions, haven't you? Yes. We will see the outcome of these terrible choices, and it won't be good. People will be desperate. Oh, Joshua, you see, you're worse than me now. You brought us down worse than I did. Joshua, thanks for saving me. You're the Debbie Downer now. But I think you're right, though. I think it really is an issue. We're going to see the damage, but I don't know when. And the reason why I say I don't know when is we're still pouring money into the economy. And as long as you just keep pouring the money in, you don't see the results until at one point you've just poured too much in. And we won't know when that's going to hit. My gut tells me next year. But I don't know. I can't be clear on that. How much money are we going to keep putting in? I think we're gonna put another several $1 trillion into the economy this year. That's what I think. And that'll cover us through next year. I'm going to go only by politics on this one, Joshua. Only politics. Politically, it won't crash till 2023. So we got about 2 years before it crashes. Why? There's no way that the Democrats are going to want to let the economy crash in 2020, in the 2022 election cycle. No way. Then I think they will simply throw every dollar at it they can possibly throw at this economy to keep it artificially pumped up until after the election. And that's just my gut. Again, my evidence is the same as the crash 2009. They kept that thing pumping until after Obama won. Obama won, the world's ending. Right now, the world's ending. They kept trying to hold on until then. Okay. Now, what was it? So yeah, I do not think that they'll let it crash until 2023, meaning after the election of 2022. That's my view, political view. I don't have any other data. So that's it. So if you could make one person libertarian, AH asks, would you choose Fauci or the head of the Department of Education, Miguel Cardona? Fauci. And I think because he affects the way so many people think. So yeah, if I only had those two choices, all I either got Fauci or I got Cardona, I'm going to go Fauci because if Fauci turns, it'll also turn Cardona. So that's what I would say. Yes. I hope that answers your question. So, all right. Let's see here. Roberts McGee says, way off topic. That's fine. It's AMA. But we are dealing with a city unwilling to work with us to redesign a pathway project. They want to eminent domain a portion of our property that will result in the loss of frontage access to our building and loss of parking needed to operate the business, putting our remaining stalls inadequate and non-code compliant. Yes, it is not the first time I've heard this one at all. Yes, it's an uphill fight for non-essential pathway. So love your thoughts on the subject, knowing full well you're only getting a small piece of our story. No. That's enough of my story. Let me tell you, I have been anti-eminent domain for years. When I ran for governor in New York, they were doing it in Utica, and they're still doing it. They were tearing up 30 buildings. 30 different businesses were going away through eminent domain to build a hospital downtown. Why you want a hospital downtown, I don't know why, but they decided that's the right answer because money and cash and cronyism is why. I was against it then. I marched against it then. I talked about it. I went on radio trying to stop it. Did not work. They're still doing it. Eminent domain should only be used, if not doing it will cause obvious harm. An example I give is, say, for example, someone has a 6 or 7 or higher story building in Manhattan. That building is about to collapse. They refuse anything about it, or they refuse, or they can't, either one. And the government steps in to take it so they can knock it down so it doesn't fall on top of people. I'm okay with eminent domain in that situation. Literally, if you don't do something, a multiple story skyscraper will fall down and kill thousands. Eminent domain that. That's the only time I'm okay with eminent domain. If not doing it will cause obvious harm. And when I say obvious, I mean not maybe, could be. A building falls in Manhattan, that's obvious damage. You as the owner will do something about it because it's going to collapse. Eminent domain your building. I don't have a problem with that. That's the only time that I think eminent domain makes sense, right? If there's obvious harm, if we don't. Otherwise, I'm not okay with eminent domain. And the problem is, this goes to reinforce what we found last year. Most of us thought that we actually had rights. We don't. We have privileges. And the government can take those privileges when it deems appropriate. I know it makes some of you mad. Some of you libertarian heads exploded just now. It's just the way it is right now. That's reality. I hate it. I want to change it. I talk about it. I try to set policies that can still get us value without having to destroy that. But that's where it is right now, right? That's what it is. So if they want to build a road through your home or through your, they're going to do it. They're just going to try to give you some money and hope you get a good amount of money, and that's it. And then when you're not code compliant, they will then fine you. So they're going to do it and then blame you when it doesn't work anymore. So whatever money they give you, you will now have to take the chunk of that money and then redo everything on your current property, so you won't make much money. The only way you can stop this, if it's local. Now, if it's federal, there's virtually no way of stopping it. I mean, you could lawsuit. That's your best bet. But if you create a lawsuit, you're going to have to show another way of them doing it. I know it's completely unfair. You should not have to show them another way of doing it. It's totally unfair. And the only way you're going to get it. You are going to have to come up with another way of them getting what they want, showing them that, and suing. Suing that it's wrong almost never works. It can, but almost never works, and costs you a lot of money, and it costs you a bunch of time and energy with a lawyer. You lose anyway. So the lawyer got rich, and you lose even more money. If you can't show them another way of doing whatever they want, the odds of your victory are slim to none. And if you can show another way, use the press. Social pressure will work. Name the individuals who are pushing this specifically. I'm not saying dox them. I'm not saying dox them. I'm saying name the individuals specifically. If it's a company, do not name the company. That has no value. Don't go, Acme Brothers is taking this over. No one knows who Acme Brothers is or who Summit Group is. Nobody knows who those people are. Instead, say, John Doe of Acme Group, Jane Smith of the Summit Crew. They're the one, he or she is the one doing this. Here's what they could do instead. I know what you're thinking. Larry, that's not fair. You're correct. And it's the only way. I'm being forward with you. You have to find another way for them to get it. Name the people individually. Use social pressure. That's your chance of stopping eminent domain. Otherwise, you're just not going to. The government's too powerful. Just take your stuff. Which is one of the reasons why I'm libertarian, trying to make things happen, getting people to run for office and running myself in 2018 and getting others to run to change stuff just like this, Robert, just like this. So, yes. Jericho says, I can answer the vaccine question. It's really quite safe. Lots of folks feel crappy for a day and then are fine. That's not a side effect. That's your immune system working to make immunity. Very few have anything serious. The numbers of people with anaphylaxis was 6 in the first 200,000 doses. As far as the blood clot goes, it's actually a totally different kind of clot than that which occurs with general population. It's in the brain. That being said, it's still a choice and shouldn't be. I think we know the rest. Yes. Thank you. So, all right. I answer that question. Let's see if I can do this. Joe says, in the age of ever-present surveillance and development of facial recognition, you think libertarians would cheer the normalization of facial coverings? That's actually pretty funny. Some people actually have become a felon because of this, because in certain areas, if you wear a mask and you're carrying a firearm, you are by default against the law, breaking the law. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. We should be like, yeah, masks. You can't do face recognition. Yeah, it's kind of funny. Again, we just don't want the law, right? So, Ed says, I travel a lot for work. I'm sick of getting nose jabbed every damn time I change locations for work. I may even get a chance to work in Germany again soon. I broke down and got the first Moderna shot. No real issues so far. I'll keep you posted. I mean, this is a valid point, Ed. If you're going to travel, it kind of makes sense to just get the damn vaccine, doesn't it? If you're not traveling, what do you care? Up to you, right? If you think it's right, get it. If you don't, whatever. If you're going to travel, they're going to be trashing you every day. It's like, fine. It's why I got Easy Pass. I hate Easy Pass in New York State. I hate having to let them know where the hell I am. But it's just so much more convenient. And you just go anywhere you want and it speeds. I'm like, fine, you win. You've basically pressured me into doing it. That's the worry, I think, when it comes to the passports, the COVID passports, vaccine passports. I think the same thing is going to happen. I think the same thing. Yes. Joe says, I saw someone the other day, mask on and off in a car with gloves on while smoking a cigarette. What's going on here, Joe? Yeah. Yes. Jeanette's with you. She says, covidiocy. So idiocy. Covidiocy. Thank you. Covidiocy needs to stop. I would agree, Jeanette. I would agree. Yes, absolutely. Guys, people are posting in. Please do so if you would. Do me a small favor. And I know the trial is over. I'm not talking about the trial at all, but still, take the police accountability survey if you haven't already. If you've taken it already, awesome. Thank you so much for taking it. If you haven't taken it yet, head on over to the link that's right there. You see it there. The link that is in the show description. Please click that specific link. Take the police accountability survey. It's about 5 minutes. Finish it. It's at theadvocates.org. They are my sponsor. Take that test, that survey, and then finish it. And when you're done, share it online. Let people know you've taken it. Please take that survey. It makes my sponsors happy. Doesn't cost you $1, but they're sponsoring the show. It helps me move this thing forward because you know what else we have here? In case you haven't noticed, we also have a Sharpe Way Clips YouTube page. You want to just see little clips of Sharpe Way? There they are. Sharpe Way Clips YouTube page. That comes from the money you guys are spending, right? Not just that we got podcasts now. Go to Anchor FM. And you can have podcasts of all the shows from last week. And now we're putting up all the old shows too. Hundreds of shows are all going up there into the podcast. If you want to listen to any of those shows while you're working, you can't watch this show live, you want to listen to it later, podcasts are up now. Again, who's doing that? People who you're helping with through sponsorship. So please take the survey. It does matter. We are doing better, doing more, getting better equipment. We're making this show better. It takes cash. Please support. If you can support with cash, patreon.com/sharpeway. If you got the big dollars, throw me $100. If you don't, throw me 10. 10's fine. Whatever it takes. It's all good, whatever you can give. If you can't give either, you can always like, comment, and share. It does help. It does matter. Please do that. It's important that we keep moving this show forward. So, yes, keep going here. Gene says, I was just watching the national news. It was reported that new COVID-19 cases are increasing in children. Surprise. The question is it hurting them? That's the question. And I don't know the answer to that. What has been the answer? No. In the past, the answer was no. Is it still? Am I upset that kids get COVID and then have no symptoms and go away? No, that's actually a good thing, right? They become immune to it, right? Good. And so far, it has not been bugging them at all. So I want to know if kids are dying from it. If kids are dying from it, then that would change how I think about this. I would change. But if they're just getting it, I don't care. CNN has been saying it forever. They've been talking about the infection rate. Not the issue. So, yes. John says, I travel Florida a lot. Masks are rare in rural areas. Metropolitan areas require them, and you see people wearing them outdoors, done with the cities. Well, yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to be in a very, small area, it makes more sense that you would want to wear one. But my thing, I was saying, I was in a park outside in the sun, wind, and I had a mask on, and this guy was scared. It's just, that's covidiocracy. I'm messing it up. I'm messing up what you said. Sorry. Covidiocy. Yeah, that's covidiocy. There it is. Yes. AJ says the media is helping producing and manufacturing fear. Yes, 100%. Yes, absolutely. So let me keep going here. Jean says, I was just watching. Oh, she just said it already. Sorry. Already got that one. I preach. Sorry about that. All right. Nate says, I had a guy on the NPR post tell me that people who question the safety of the vaccine should be charged with public endangerment for spreading doubt when we can't afford it. Wow. Was that thought crimes or is freedom of speech gone? I thought the First Amendment literally was like, you can't be charged with something for saying stuff. But I guess if you question the safety of the vaccine, see that? That's it, Nate. Off to jail you go. These are the gulags, right? And again, look, my mayor, de Blasio, socialist that he is, I'm sure he'd be fine with only like 4 or 5 gulags. That's about it. I mean, maybe 6 gulags, Nate. That's about the end. Just 6, 7 or 8. Just 9 gulags. 9 gulags, and we'd have the perfect socialist, utopia. I don't know why you guys don't just trust the system. I don't know. Anyway, I'm teasing you, Nate. Obviously, it is terrible. Yes. Tom says, sorry for posting too much. This subject fires me up. No worries. I'm glad you're here. Please stay. I appreciate it. So Alfred says, Biden said we can go maskless outside if vaccinated. And you thought Cuomo was a generous God. Look at that. There we go. We get to have masks off if we're outside and vaccinated. See that? God, we're so lucky. Are we lucky to have guys like Biden and Cuomo? Come on. So lucky. Yes. Anthony then says, hence the census, not for roads and infrastructure, redistricting. Correct. I really wish that was not true, Anthony. I wish that was not true, but it's completely true. Yes. Lepke says, I feel that these vaccines were rushed to market and there are more side effects than are being reported in the media. My doctor said get it, so I'm going to get it, but I'm hesitant. I'm with you. I'm hesitant too. I am. But my gut tells me, my gut says that if there are so many people who are anti, that if it was a big deal, it'd be out by now. Somehow it would have got out, and mainstream would have wanted to get out of it to counter it, right? To go, no, it's not true. I feel like that's not the big deal, but I could be wrong. So, did you happen to? Well, Dave Smith was done good on Joe Rogan. I was talking about it. I guess he did well. I guess I'll watch it. I did not see it, so I don't know if it was in the Libertarian Party well or not. I don't know. But nobody did better on Joe Rogan than I did. So Dave might have done well, but he did not do better than me because nobody could. Not that I'm biased at all in any way, shape, or form, but nobody can be better than me. Just saying. So, but I'll check him out. I appreciate that. Yes. So the news has reported that New York is losing 1 congressional seat. Oh, only 1. How in the hell did Cuomo swing that one? I don't know how he swung that. We should absolutely have lost 2. There's no doubt we should have lost 2. That was, he must have done a very good job on making the census numbers. I don't know, good or something. He must have counted like every worker that came up here from Texas or something. I guess I don't know. There's no way we should have only lost 1. So yeah, PA, of course. Yep. All the blue states lose them. It's true. Yes. Alfred's, yeah. Oh, numbers are out. New York and Cali, Illinois lost 1 each. Texas gained 2, Florida 1, North Carolina 1. There we go. Yes, these are all the places where people from New York, Cali, and Illinois go. There we go. I guess they are already. There it is. All I can say is yet again, Cuomo has done another good job of scamming the system to ensure New York only loses 1. Good for New York, I guess. But yeah, and there we go. Only lost 1. Better than 2, I guess. I like that. So, all right. Funny thing, people want to live free and to prosper, to breathe free air. New York State sucks so bad now. I blame none for leaving. Yep. But the tyranny tactics should be resisted wherever they are. The concept of forcing experimental vax onto all or else. We scared people are lining up, thinking it means to return to normal. This is insane. There's no return to normal, Jeanette. I thought there would be, maybe, but no. I don't see a return to normal at all. I don't see it. I see a permanent change in our culture, a permanent change in who we are. I don't see a return. I see it getting better for us, than it is now. But no, I don't see us ever going back to normal. That seems impossible to me. So, yes. Um, the TSA does good, just a lot of public doesn't see. There have been more people in the TSA who have been convicted of felonies against the customers than there have been people caught by the TSA. The TSA literally has hurt us more than it's helped us. More TSA people have been convicted of felonies against the people that they service than the people they've caught. So I'm going to have a tough time buying that one. Does it do some good? Sure. I think many government programs do some good. I think they do. The question is it worth it for us at all? And I think the vast majority of the time, no. Vast majority, no. But yeah, there could be some, I guess, but we'll see. So, Larry has said this before, but should the West consider never trading with China again? How you do that matters, and how that happens matters, and never I'm against. So I think every organization, every group deserves a second chance. So would I say never? No, I would never say never. Would I say stop until they get better? And how we define better? Yes, but I wouldn't make it an American thing. Like, I wouldn't say we need an American trade embargo. That isn't going to work because it's going to make a black market. We need Americans to say, and I brought this up before and I'll bring it up again. We need Americans to say, I'm okay spending 50 cents for crayons for my kid for going to school in the local store instead of 25 cents in Walmart. And if Americans say that and simply stop buying the Chinese products, that's a great idea. If Americans decide, I don't want to buy a Chinese product until they achieve whatever we say is the achievement. If you want the American government to simply be the arbiter of that, the judge or the referee of that, perhaps I'd be okay with the government doing that, maybe, right? If you want to make them the central repository for the info that says if China is achieving A, B, or C, maybe they grade them in a certain way so that if China gets a C, then we know China gets a C. Do you want to buy a C-rated product? And maybe we say, yeah, that's enough. That's good enough. It's no direct slave labor or something like that. I've made this up, obviously. All right, fine. I'll buy my crayons. Or no, you got to get to a B or an A before I buy anything. I think that type of thing would work and is right. But the government saying you may not trade with China, that's just going to be political only. Nothing else will matter. I think the individual American has to make a decision. Do the things that China is doing matter? Right now, we don't even get the information. Give them the information, grade them in some way. You make a choice. If we stop buying Chinese goods, they'll change. That's how it works. That's it. Do you think we can or should evict the UN? Should we leave it? I don't want to evict the UN. Actually, I want to put the UN in some other city, not New York. I know why. Because New York already has a bunch of stuff. So I'd rather put it, I don't know, move it to Buffalo. I know you Buffalo people are going to be mad at me now. But hey, now you get a bunch of business showing up there, new buildings, foreign infrastructure, foreign money, put in a city that could use it. I mean, I guess New York could use it now, but I've always been against having New York, the UN in New York, because it just takes up more time, money, and energy, shuts the city down. If we're gonna use it for that, put it into a city that could use it. So I don't think we should get rid of the UN out of the United States. I don't think we should leave the UN. The UN, I think, has, as I mentioned this, not mistaken, didn't someone ask this question last Friday or Thursday? I think Sonia asked this question, if I remember talking about the UN. I'm not against the UN. I think the UN should do only two things. If it does only two things, I'm good with it. Number one, it should be a place where people can come, countries can come and talk trash without having to fight wars. That's a good place, an open forum to yell and scream at each other so you don't have to drop bombs on each other. That's number one. Love that. And two, it should be a place where doctors and healthcare workers and good Samaritans can go, get authorized by the UN, and go into war zones. Because generally speaking, not 100% in this one, it's a good general rule. If you got UN backing, they don't shoot doctors. If you don't have UN backing, you're getting shot. If you have UN backing, you're probably not getting shot. So I think for that kind of thing, The UN is going to, send in some doctors to help anybody on the battlefield. That's a good thing. That kind of thing, right? So if it's going to be a place to yell and scream at each other so you don't have to bomb each other, so you can shake your fist and say, see, I'm not going to back down to you. Then you back down later anyway, but you back down in private. You don't back down in public. These are great, great reasons to have the UN. All the other stuff it does, zero value. We're going to do a resolution on human rights, and we're going to have the Chinese and the Iranians on that board. Useless. But those two things, if it does that, I'm good. That's what I'd like. So yes. Let's see if I can keep doing that. I missed the first part of this, Brandon. So the U.S. should replace welfare with a negative income tax. Yeah, if you're going to do any type of public assistance, I like the negative income tax as the best of those things. It's very similar to a UBI, and of all the UBI schemes, I'm not a big fan of UBI at all, but I realize that may be the future. And Brandon, if UBI is the future, the negative income tax is the absolute best of the bad ideas. It's the least bad of all the ideas without question. So yeah, and even to be forward, even some libertarians are reading up behind it. The problem is I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it in a way that just adds more. If you do it, it's got to be like you talk about. We have to replace it, right? Replace public assistance completely. Only negative income tax, much better. So yeah, hope so. So all right, see if I can do it. Let's see here. Ain't nothing wrong with voluntary socialism, says Joe. I agree. And I've gotten a lot of folks interested over state socialism. They didn't even know it was an option. Absolutely. Look, being a libertarian doesn't mean you do everything alone. It just means you do everything voluntarily. That's it. You can, people do it all the time, right? There are many libertarians who say, for example, are church members and give a certain amount of money to the church every month or every year or every week or whatever the thing is. It's voluntary socialism. Good. You believe in the cause or the reason, you give money, and the organization spends it the way they think best. And maybe they redistribute their wealth to the poor, but you agree to it. You're okay with it. You trust them. You can always say no. Totally fine. Voluntary socialism is completely fine. It's definitely not mandatory is the problem. I completely agree. And local other groups, civic associations, we do it all the time. A family, right? Very common to have families the same way. Everybody puts their money in and people get the money out the other side. But you got married. You had kids, right? You made those decisions in your life. And that's fine. I completely agree, Joe. 100%. Yes. David says, question, when the federal income tax was 90%, what was the income tax for New York City and state of New York? It's a good question. I'm actually unsure on that. My assumption is that the income tax was never that high. The income tax was was a total of 6 or 8%, maybe. I don't even know. But when the tax was that high, they weren't taking large salaries. They were getting the money through everything else. So the idea of having a federal income tax 90%, I mean, it didn't even matter. I think it was 80%. Or was it 90? Maybe it was 90. I thought it was 80. But whatever, it didn't matter. They would just, that legacy is still here now. For those of you who know the finance world, many people in finance, particularly high finance, when they get paid, their salaries are not that high compared to their bonuses, right? There are many people who literally make 7 figures a year. Yes, they make $1 million or more per year, $2 or $3 million per year. They make tons of money, and their salary is like $250,000. And they go, Larry, it's a lot of money. $250,000 is a lot of money to make. Absolutely. But compared to your bonus, it's nothing. If you're making $3 million a year and your salary is $250,000, you're making 90% of your cash through bonus. So you don't pay the 90%. You pay the capital gains tax, which is what, 20%? Something like that. That's how they run it, right? They do it a whole different way of doing it. Bonus is taxed differently. Capital gains, not that, but there's a different way of taxing it. So that's what they would do. So if you could tax people 100% at a certain point, they would just stop making money. They just find another way of making money. They'd give money through real estate, or they give money through stock options, or they give money through something else. They find other ways of giving them money, bonuses, stock options, whatever the case may be. And it doesn't count here. So yeah, there we go. Never got a receipt in New York. Been voting for 40 years. Yeah, me either. I've been voting now for 30 years now, and I haven't gotten any. So, is that what you meant when you were talking about that, Michael? Was that it? The getting a receipt? I've never received one, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've never received one. Don't know. The Elastic Giraffe says when Gen X and millennials are running the economy, baby boomers are still clinging desperately to political power. Gen X is now running the economy. That's true. Gen X runs the economy now. That's very true. Absolutely. So, Keith says, Larry, I'm mad at our generation for allowing them to be lied to. Amen. I don't lie to my kids. I got a kid going to college next year, another kid in elementary school. I don't lie to them. I don't lie to them at all. I don't know what's actually up, what's going to matter in their life, why it matters. Their friends are all like, "Oh my God, this matters." I'm like, it doesn't matter. Don't get stressed. It doesn't matter. Here's what actually matters. The other stuff, just stuff. Don't even worry about it. I don't lie to them at all. Yes. So let's see if I can do this here. Joel says, with land use and zoning restrictions driving the cost of housing, occupational licensing, and other business licensing restrictions favoring folks who are in the market over those trying to enter it, and trillions of dollars forever wars, can we not say that they were robbed? Yes. Yep, absolutely. So that's why I'm not so mad at them. I think it's a problem, and we have to fix it, but I'm not really mad at them. I think to myself, if I was one of them, I might think the same way. I might. Sam says, it took me a long time to see the indoctrination I went through in culture and school. It took me years to see it. So I remind myself it may take others years too. Thank you, Sam. Yes, absolutely. 100%. There was a long time when most of my young adult life, I didn't care about local elections at all. I thought it was stupid. I know, so funny, but I thought I used to think local elections were stupid. It didn't matter. Who cares? All that matters is like president. That's what I used to think. So I only voted when I was overseas for most of my time in the Marine Corps. So my first votes were all mail-in ballots, and I only voted every 4 years because I thought, well, I'm not local, so I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's dumb. So I just voted only in the every 4-year elections. All I ever voted in. But when I really got into it, probably was the 90s is when I got into it. In the 80s, I didn't. In the 90s, I began to go, oh, some of this other stuff matters, like who my governor matters. And I know it sounds dumb, but Sam, just like you, I was not getting it. It took me time to figure out that this stuff matters. I was busy doing what I thought was important, which is other stuff. So, yes. So, Matt says, I'm still pissed that my guidance counselor told us that you can't sleep without a college degree. Yep. That was all the direction we got. Nothing about what degrees are valuable. Nothing about how the debt we were about to take on would affect us. Turns out most of the people I went to school with that went to college are living paycheck to paycheck. Yes. And the students that learned to trade are doing well for themselves. I've been saying that for years, Matt. For years, I've been saying that. For years. And people don't believe me. Until all of a sudden they go, holy crap, he's right. Yeah, stop lying to your children. Stop telling your children that the only way they can be successful is through college. I'm not anti-college. I'm not, Matt. I'm not against college. But go to college because you know that the career or job you want to go after requires college. If you know, hey, I want to be a doctor. Awesome. Go to college. You can't be a doctor without that. I want to be a lawyer. Awesome. Go to college. Can't be a lawyer without that. I don't know what I want to do. Don't go to college. Go to work and figure out what you want to do. Then you realize, oh, what I want to do doesn't require college. Don't go. Or you know what? What I want to do does require college. Go. You might say, Larry, that's stupid. How can you get a decent job without college? Would you rather lose 4 more years of working and spend $100,000 in debt? Or would you rather work for 2 years, figure out what you want to do, then go to college ready to go? I went to college late. I didn't go to college until I was 21. I spent several years in the Marine Corps figuring out how to be a man and not being a punk kid, which is what I was at 17. So trying to not be a punk kid anymore. I didn't care. I was a terrible high school student. And I mean terrible high school. I basically bribed and lied my way to get D's in my last year so I can graduate. That's how I got out. All D's, terrible. I conned one of my teachers in the last minute who had failed me to give me a D so I can graduate. And I told him it's because I'm going to Marine Corps. I can't go without a degree. Come on, help me out. And he just literally the day of my graduation, fine, D, get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore. I was like, I'm out. Bye to Marine Corps. That's how I got out. That's how bad of a student I was. I was a terrible high school student. Didn't show up, cut classes. Every bad thing you can imagine is what I did. And when I went to college, if I would have gone to college, I would have been a terrible college student. I didn't want to be in college. I didn't want to be in school. I would have been terrible at it. That's why most kids right now, it takes them 6 years to graduate college because they're not ready for it. They don't want to do it. They're terrible students. They want to do it. I would have been the same way. Most of my friends took 4, 5, 6, or 7 years to graduate. They never graduated and got debt. I didn't. I went to the Marine Corps. 3 years later, 4 years later, I was like, oh, yeah, I want a college degree. Like I knew it and I wanted it. I wanted to prepare myself to get out. And when I went to college, I was a full-time Marine and a full-time student at the same time at a 3.7 GPA from all D's. Why? Because I'm super smart? No, because I wanted to do it and I had purpose. And I'm going to tell you a shocking thing. When you want to do stuff, you're better at it. That's kind of how humans work. If you don't want to go to school and people put you in school, you're not going to do well in it. If you want to go to school, you'll do better in it. That's just what you'll do. And I did really well because I wanted to be there. I had purpose. I wanted to do it. And I went and I got a college degree. That's when we should go to college. When we go, you know what? I want this. This is the right answer. Then go. Then you're set. The idea that college is for kids who are 18, 19 is a stupid, outdated idea that should have gone away a long time ago. I told my daughter the same thing. If you don't want to go to college, it's fine. Get a job. Work. Learn what you want to do. Be happy. Luckily, my oldest daughter has a lot of purpose now. She knows what she wants to be. And I've tried to help her work her through it. Being a business and executive trainer and coach does help as a father sometimes. So I'm able to walk her through some things to get her to a spot where she's happy and wants to go. But if your kid doesn't want to go yet, why would you push them? Because guidance counselors tell you? Why would a guidance counselor tell you that? Well, because they're judged by how many kids go to college. They're not judged by whether the kids are happy. They're not even judged by whether their kids graduate. If you look at all the books on high schools, when you look for high schools, particularly in New York City, what do you see? Graduation rate, number one, college placement rate. That's all they care about. The kid go to college. They don't, that rate goes down. They're not graded well. So they are incentivized to ship your kid to college, whether your kids go to college or not. And that's a serious problem. A serious problem. So anyway, yes, Matt, I'm with you on that 100%. Yes. So, all right. Jericho says Supreme Court agreed to take up New York State Rifle and Pistol versus Association versus Corlett, which will decide to what extent the Second Amendment protects your rights to carry a gun outside the home. Ooh, I like that. Very nice. Very nice. 100%. Yes, that's great. Thank you, Jericho, for that. I appreciate that. Eric says, do you think capitalism will work when tech makes human labor obsolete? I don't think human labor will ever be obsolete. And the reason is, if you look at how tech has been working throughout history, from the horse, from fire, until computers and AI, the difference is how do we interact with it? It will not make human labor obsolete. It will just change what human labor is. Human labor will be a whole lot less of this and a whole lot more of this. And what tech does very well is repetitive jobs, right? Repetitive jobs. What tech does not do very well is intuitive jobs. So that's the issue, right? So as a general rule, until you can get a fully functional plumber, as an example, there's always going to be need for plumbers. Now, will plumbers use technology in their jobs more and more? Of course. If you were a plumber, 30 years ago and a plumber now, I'm sure there are different technologies that you're using now, right? And you'll probably use more of them. There'll be more technology in the toilets, in the sinks, in the sewers, right? In all the things that are plumbing, right? There'll be piping, there'll be different technologies in there. So you may use different technology in that, but you'll still need a technician to know where to go, how to go, what to do. When it comes to the business world, there still has to be purpose for the technology. the humans create the purpose, right? What's the example I always give is chess. When I was a kid, I used to play chess. And when I was a kid, I could beat the chess computers. They were crappy computers from the 70s. I could beat a computer in the 70s. Now I could never beat a computer anymore. Impossible. Could never do it. The AI has gotten so good that now, before, the chess master used to always beat the computer back in the 70s and 80s. That was the thing. The chess master always beat the computer. Then instead of being, now computer almost always beats chess master. So what beats a computer? Chess master and computer. Together, they beat the computer. And that's my piece. You will still require a human to create the purpose or to direct it regardless. So I don't think it'll ever make it obsolete. So will capitalism work when that happens? I think yes. What else could it do? What else could you do? If you fall to a socialist model, you will have the elite making all the decisions. What capitalism does, it allows, instead of trying to attack and take down a Goliath, it allows to create many Davids. And I would like to create many Davids. So I think capitalism will still work. It'll be different, but I think it will still work. Yes. So Alfred said, no one cares about your advanced Regents diploma. Yes, nobody cares. It is completely and totally useless. Absolutely. Yes. So, Texas has STAR exams. Yes. Also, I'm sure useless. Same idea. Yes. So, Gene says, I started college when I was 17. Ooh, nice. After 1 year, I quit to get married. Nearly 28 years later, I went back to college. It was vastly different. College today is not what it once was. It isn't better now. Ooh, I like that. It isn't better now. But my point still stands, right? You went to college when you thought you should. In this case, it was 28 years later. In my case, it was 4 years later. And in everyone's case, it could be different. And we should go to college when we think it's right for us and when we have purpose and we decide to do so. I think absolutely it's the right answer. So thank you. Lepke, we are about to spend $33,000 on our son's first year of college. I'm so sorry. We're looking at tons of money from my daughter coming up here too. But I don't want to spend it. So I'm going to make sure she does the right thing to get the right scholarships so that we don't pay for it, because I don't want to pay for it. Not because I don't want to go into debt for my daughter. That's not the reason. Because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it at all. The crap education that kids are getting in college, it's an embarrassment. It's not worth it at all. Yes. So 100%. All right. Jenny says, my homeschooled friend's kids started college at 13 years old. Wow. Look at that. I love that. Matt says, I was fired from my first job in sales for advising older people that they could not afford whatever product I was selling. I know the feeling, Matt. I know the feeling. I used to go through a little test that I made up to see if somebody could actually, if it was worth the person actually buying what I was talking about. And the funny part is, at first, my boss was mad at me for doing it. I was probably 19, 20. I was a kid in my eyes. But I did it because I wanted to feel better about what I was doing. But what wound up happening is the people who fit almost always closed. So my close rate was still a good close rate. But if I did my little test and they kind of failed my test, I'd say, you know what, maybe it's not right for you. And they would leave and he'd be mad. Why you didn't leave? But then if they actually passed my test, they're like, oh, this actually works for you. Oh, okay, let's go do it. And my close rate was still decent. But I know what you're talking about, right? I was trying to find a way to not be sleazy. I mean, I love selling stuff. I love asking for money. I do it here all the time. I just want to know, I want to be comfortable in what I'm asking for. And I want to make sure you're getting something of value. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Heading over to patreon.com/Sharpeway. If you like what I'm doing, if you like what I'm saying, if you like this show, support it. Yeah, I'm asking for money. I'm selling stuff. I'm selling this show. I'm selling us moving forward. I'm selling us having the movement go forward. I'm selling us being more popular so that more people see what we're doing. Heading over to patreon.com/Sharpeway. Click that link. The link is in the it's in the show description. Click that link. Sponsor $10 a month, $25 a month. If you got big Biden bucks coming in, $100 a month. It's going to make us do and provide more stuff. As I said, now we got podcasts up. Now we got a TikTok going now. Yep, we even got a TikTok now. Absolutely. Instagram up and running like it's never been run before, right? All this stuff is happening now, and it's happening because you guys are supporting me and because my sponsors are supporting me. So head on over to the Police Accountability Survey, click that link, take that survey, take it so that my sponsors are happy. Take it, finish it, complete it to the end, and then share it so that other people see, and you can see where you stand with other people when it comes to police accountability. And of course, no matter what, like, comment, share. I say all the time, like, comment, share, but I'm asked one specific thing from you today. One specific thing. For those of you who are here who have not right now already gone over to my Sharpe Way YouTube page, not Larry Sharpe YouTube page, the Sharpe Way YouTube page. For those of you who haven't done that, please head on over there right now, click subscribe. I need more subscribers. What happens if I get canceled in cancel culture? I got to have more things that I can rely on. So I need you to go on, head on over there to the Sharpe Way YouTube page now and click subscribe. You don't want the bell, don't ring the bell. But I'd like you to ring the bell. But if you don't want to ring it, fine. Subscribe anyway. It's important. Please make that happen. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So, all right. Charles says, how about everyone stop classifying themselves in any group? People should just be themselves, remove themselves from any group, party, or group. You know, you bring up an interesting point, Charles. I think people like being in groups, but I think they just don't like to be grouped, if that makes any sense. Like, people don't want you to go, you're this. They want to pick their own name. They want to pick their own group. I think that's what people do. I think people want to jump in and pick their own group. I think that's normal. Chris says, what advice do you give to someone attending their first state convention? Many things. The first one is meet as many people as you can. Don't spend so much time with people you already know. And when you do that, when you're at the convention, set up a time to have a phone call or a meet, if you're close enough, the people you meet there to have another sit down. So if you go to the convention, you meet, 20 people, how big your convention is. And at your convention, out of those 20 people, 10 you already know. Spend a little bit of time with 10 you already know. Spend a bit more time with 10 you don't know, and set up a secondary meet with those other 10. Whether that's a phone call if you have a large state and you're far away. If you're in a smaller state, you can just go there, drive there and say hi, whatever. Do that. Second, when you eat, if you eat in the morning, if they eat mornings, if they eat in the evenings or afternoons, make sure you're not eating alone. Eat with a group of people, particularly people who you don't know well. That's the best thing. You want to network at the state convention because eventually they're going to need you or you're going to need them. So get to know each other so that when you work together, because you're going to, we're too small of a party to not work together. We're going to have to work together. So when they do need you or you need them, you have a relationship already that you can build and they know how to make it happen. In fact, many of them are going to need you already for something, or you might need them already for something. Let's get them going. You always want to realize the people who go to a state convention, those people want to do stuff, or you don't show up to a convention, right? If you don't want to do stuff, you don't go to the convention. You go to the convention because you want to do stuff. That's what you want to do. That's why you went there. So if you can be a purpose for them, Chris, to show them what to do or how to do it, be that purpose. They're happy to jump on board. That's why they came to the convention. That's really why they did it. That's why they came to the convention. So anyway, good. See here. Ed says, Paul, I never once had to show my New York State Regents diploma. Yep. But I've sent my D214 and bachelor's often. Yes. All that truly matters, I guess, along with what you mentioned, experience. 100%. Yes, 100%. Yes. That's a great piece. I agree with that completely. Totally agree with that completely. Yes. So, guys, Lee says, I'm a lot more entertained than the Yankees tonight. That's sacrilege. Love my Yankees. Don't say that. I appreciate that completely. I definitely appreciate you guys watching me and giving me so much time and so much energy. I do appreciate that. Paula says, would GovShop end all standardized testing K through 12? I mentioned that already, right? In my K through 10 plan, I changed to K through 10, and there's no standardized testing until high school. I don't mind standardized testing in high school. That I'm okay with, because by the time you're in high school, you know how to take a test. You know how to make that happen. When you're 8, 10, 12, 13, you can be a bad test taker. And if you're a bad test taker, now you're labeled a dumb kid. And it's because you're a bad test taker. That's a terrible idea. Wait till your standardized testing should only be in high school and above, only for the first 2 years of high school, and then that's it. And those tests should be much more aptitude tests, not intelligence tests. It should be, what am I good at? What should I be doing? You know, that kind of thing is what I'd like to work on more than anything else if I could. So, yes. All right, guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I'm going to take off. I appreciate all the time and the energy you gave me, but I'm going to end it on this. Eminent domain sounds like theft to me. Alfred, you are correct. Eminent domain is theft. Guys, have a great night. I will see you all tomorrow.